In the vast web of human relationships, our connections often define us. Families anchor us, friends uplift us. Yet, even these sacred bonds can sometimes turn into chains. Ancient Zen teachings remind us attachment is the root of suffering. This is not to dismiss love or care, but to highlight the truth. Not every bond is meant to endure forever. Buddhism teaches the principle of anicca. As life flows, changes, and sometimes letting go becomes an act of compassion. To cling to relationships that drain your spirit is to deny yourself the freedom to grow. This is not selfishness, but wisdom. As one Zen master said, if a raft takes you across the river, you must let it go. Carrying it further is folly. Through 9 profound signs, this narrative will explore when cutting ties, even with family or friends, aligns with spiritual growth. Each sign is a gateway to deeper understanding, a step on the path to liberation. 1. When the relationship is rooted in harm, a true connection nourishes. When a relationship becomes a source of harm in us, it contradicts the Buddhist principle of ahimsa. Imagine a person constantly belittling you, exploiting your kindness, or inflicting emotional pain. The Zen parable tells of a monk who tried to nurse a venomous snake back to health. The snake bit him repeatedly until he realized the snake's nature was to bite. To stay was not an act of compassion. It was self-destruction. If someone in your life poisons your peace, recognize that your duty is not to endure but to protect your spirit. Walking away is not an act of hatred, but of love for yourself and the other person, who may need to face the consequences of their actions to change too. When you feel unseen and unheard, in Buddhism, the principle of samadhana teaches that relationships thrive on mutual respect and understanding. If you constantly feel invisible, your words dismissed, or your emotions invalidated, the bond lacks this harmony. A Zen teaching says, a flower blooms for its own joy, not to be admired. Yet, it suffers when trampled underfoot. Your life is your bloom. If a friend or family member refuses to appreciate your essence, it is not your duty to keep blooming for them. Letting go creates space for those who will truly see and honor you. 3. When the relationship hinders your growth, a fundamental Buddhist teaching is the pursuit of Bodhi awakening. Relationships, like rivers, should guide you closer to enlightenment. But if someone anchors you in negativity, resentment, or stagnation, their presence obstructs your path. There is a Zen koan that asks, what you carry that is too heavy? Often, the heaviest burdens are relationships that resist your growth. Perhaps a family member discourages your ambitions, or a friend mocks your spiritual journey. Releasing these ties is not abandonment. It is choosing the liberation that leads to awakening. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Us concentrate the mind on the present moment. 4. When love turns conditional. True love, according to Zen, is unconditional. It flows freely, without demands. Yet, some relationships bind love with expectations, demanding you fit their mold or fulfill their desires. A Zen story tells of a young tree trying to grow in the shadow of an ancient one. The old tree blocked the sunlight, claiming to protect the saplings, but it stunted its growth instead. Love must nurture, not suffocate. If someone's affection feels like a transaction, it is no longer love, it is control. Cutting ties with such bonds frees both parties to rediscover the purity of unconditional love. 5. When forgiveness becomes impossible, Buddhism values forgiveness. However, forgiveness does not mean tolerating repeated harm. It means releasing anger and resentment. But when someone continues to wound you, refusing to change, forgiveness alone cannot mend the relationship. A Zen proverb says, a broken pot may still hold water. but a shattered one cannot. Some relationships are so fractured that reconciliation becomes impossible. Clinging to them only spreads suffering. Walking away allows forgiveness to heal your heart while respecting your boundaries. 6. When lies erode trust. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful bond. When deceit creeps into a relationship, it breaks the sacred principle of Satya, truth. A Zen tale speaks of a man who tried to cross a bridge made of shadows only to fall into the abyss. Lies are shadows. They cannot support the weight of a relationship. If trust is irreparably broken, holding on creates an illusion of connection. Detachment is the only way to honor the truth and seek authentic bonds. 7. When the energy exchange becomes one-sided. In Zen philosophy, the concept of dana emphasizes balance. Relationships flourish when both parties give and receive. But if you find yourself constantly pouring energy into someone who never reciprocates, the imbalance drains your vitality. As a Zen story tells of a gardener who watered a barren plot for years, hoping for growth. Eventually, he realized his energy was better spent nurturing fertile soil. Recognize when a relationship has become barren. Redirect your energy to connections that thrive on mutual care. 8. When guilt chains you to the bond. Guilt is a heavy chain, often used to bind us to toxic relationships. Buddhism teaches that guilt arises from avidya. You owe no one your suffering. A Zen master once said, if guilt holds you back, ask whose voice whispers in your ear. Is it your own or someone else's? Often guilt is a tool others will to control you. Recognize it for what it is and choose freedom over fear. 9. When staying compromises your inner peace. Inner peace is the cornerstone of spiritual practice. If a relationship constantly disturbs your equilibrium, it contradicts the Buddhist pursuit of nirvana, freedom from suffering. The Zen teaching says, if your house is on fire, leave it. Do not stay and argue with the flames. If someone consistently brings chaos into your life, detachment becomes an act of self-preservation. Walking away is not a failure. It is an affirmation of your right to peace and happiness with the mirror of letting go. When we release relationships that no longer serve us, it is natural to feel doubt, guilt, or even grief. After all, cutting ties is not a rejection of the person, but a recognition that the connection has become a source of suffering. In Buddhism, the practice of self-inquiry, asking deep, reflective questions, is a powerful tool to navigate this emotional terrain. Each relationship is a plant, some flowering beautifully, others wilting despite our best care. As gardeners of our lives, we must tend to what nourishes us and gently remove what drains our energy. To hold on to dead roots is to deprive the flourishing ones of sunlight and space, the nature of change, a universal truth. Buddhism teaches that the world is in constant flux. The principle of anicca, impermanence, reminds us that nothing remains the same in us, not even the closest bonds. This impermanence does not diminish the value of past connections, instead, in us. It invites us to honor them as they were and let go when they no longer align with our present selves. Reflect on this. How often do we resist change because of fear? The fear of being alone, misunderstood, or judged can trap us in unhealthy relationships. Yet, in us, as Zen wisdom states that the butterfly does not mourn the caterpillar, it simply becomes. To cling to outdated ties is to deny the transformation that life demands compassion for the self and others. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is karuna. Cutting ties is not an act of cruelty, but of deep compassion, both for yourself and for the other person. Staying in a toxic or draining relationship only perpetuates that suffering for both parties. Imagine holding a bird in your hands. If you clutch it too tightly, you harm it. If you release it, you allow it to fly freely. Relationships are much the same. By letting go, you grant yourself and the other person the freedom to find more harmonious paths. The weight of expectations, many of us struggle with societal or familial expectations that pressure us to maintain relationships at all costs. We are taught that family is sacred, or that long-standing friendships should be preserved no matter what. While these ideals are rooted in noble intentions, they can become burdens when the relationships themselves are harmful. As a Zen teaching suggests, do not confuse duty with bondage. Fulfilling your duty does not mean sacrificing your well-being. True duty lies in living authentically and honoring your own spiritual journey, healing the wound of separation. Letting go often leaves an emotional wound, as the heart aches for what was familiar, even if it was painful. This is where mindfulness becomes a balm. Instead of resisting the pain, allow yourself to feel it fully. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from our resistance to reality. By accepting the pain, we begin to heal. A Zen master once said, "The wound is where the light enters." The loss of a relationship, no matter how painful, creates space for new growth, insights, and connections. Trust that this space will be filled in time, often in ways you cannot yet imagine, reconnecting with inner peace. As when you release toxic ties, a profound sense of relief often follows. You may notice an unburdening, as if a heavy weight has been lifted. This is the gift of detachment, vairagaya. It is not a disconnection from love or compassion, but a return to your center. Spend time cultivating inner peace through meditation, mindfulness, and self-care. These practices ground you in the present moment and remind you that your happiness is not dependent on others. As the Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without the gift of authentic relationships. By letting go of harmful relationships, you create space for authentic connections to enter your life. These are relationships built on mutual respect, understanding, and unconditional love. They uplift you rather than drain you, aligning with the Buddhist principle of Sangha, a community that supports your spiritual journey. Recognize that your actions also set an example for others. When you prioritize your well-being and boundaries, you inspire others to do the same. In this way, your decision to let go becomes a ripple of healing and transformation, the freedom of detachment. The journey of cutting ties is not easy, but it is deeply liberating. Zen teachings remind us that freedom is not found in clinging, but in releasing. As you reflect on the relationships in your life, ask yourself, are they helping me grow? Are they rooted in love and respect? Are they aligned with my higher self? If the answer is no, remember that letting go is not an end, but a beginning. It is the first step toward a life of peace, authenticity, and fulfillment. Trust in the wisdom of impermanence and the boundless capacity of your heart to heal and thrive. In the words of the Buddha, you cannot travel the path until you have become the path itself. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you become the embodiment of the path. Resilient, compassionate, and free. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.